lymphocytes, which are the B cells, and T cells. B cells make antibodies, which are proteins trained to attack specific antigens. They're primarily produced early in life, and they diminish as we age, which is why there's lots of research that's done on elderly people, because elderly people are so much more susceptible to different diseases and infection, because there's their metabolism slows down, they process nutrients differently, and then also their immune system is not nearly as strong as it was when they were younger. And then there are the T cells, there's three kinds of T cells, which are killer cells, cytotoxic cells, and suppressor cells. So that's the immune system, and then my research is about how diet affects your immune system. So immunodeficiency can be present at birth, which is congenital or can be acquired. Factors for immunodeficiency are, of course, malnutrition, just nutrient deficiency, protein deficiency, calorie deficiency, acute and chronic stress. Also can increase an individual's risk for infection and influence morbidity and mortality. The point that I want to stress the most is that it's, watch eating a wholesome diet and a variety of foods, and foods that usually look how they look when they come out of the ground is the most, that is most close to the source that you can eat, is the way that you're going to know how you're getting your most of your nutrients, and that they haven't been changed at all. There is research that has been done that there are a few specific nutrients that you can take that would boost your immune system, but overall, if you're not consistently getting all the different nutrients, all the macronutrients and micronutrients that your body needs, you're going to be susceptible to infection and sickness so much more often. So, but the research has proven that vitamin A, zinc, and iron will influence and are likely to boost your immune function. And vitamin E, also, although the study just says that vitamin E really was helpful, and vitamin E was touted as a powerful antioxidant that helps protect against cardiovascular disease and cancer in animal studies, and also in high quantities to enhance immune system response. But this remained inconclusive in human studies, which I'm sure Robin talked about that, as well as antioxidants that there's a lot of research that seems like they would be very helpful in various circumstances, but the studies just aren't proving that officially. But vitamin A, as far as that being really important as an immune system booster, it is considered an essential contributor to immune health. Specifically, vitamin A influences modulation, which is the control and the behavior of all different immune functions. Vitamin A promotes the integrity of skin, vision, structural and functional integrity of mucosal epithelial cells, and influences the growth and function of neutrophils, which is part of your second line of defense of your immune system, the macrophages, the natural killer cells, T cells, and B cells. Deficiencies in vitamin A show individuals with impaired mucosal linings or respiratory, gastrointestinal, and general urinary tracts infections. Several epidemiological, clinical, and experimental studies have demonstrated a close association between severe vitamin A deficiency and increased infection-related morbidity and mortality in children. Most of the research, there wasn't like there was tons and tons of articles, but there were a few articles that are done, but mostly in countries where there's quite a bit of malnutrition, and so pregnant women are studied, and then these children are studied, and in relation to trying to immunize the children, and if there are other environmental factors prevalent where they're not getting, you know, if they're going to try to immunize them against measles, but there are these other environmental factors that are present, that immunization might not work. But if they combine the immunization with, like, you know, 200 or 300% of the IU for vitamin A, then the vaccine is much more effective. So there have been studies like that. And so basically what that has done is the immune potentiating effects of large doses of vitamin A have led to its routine use in reducing the severity and complications of infectious diseases like measles and diarrhea, just, you know, any sorts of infections you can think of that are respiratory, gastrointestinal, or genitourinary. Okay, I talked about vitamin E a little bit. So zinc, zinc helps foster the maturation of T cells. So it's that third line of defense in your adaptive immune system. And it also may influence modulation of the phagocytes and natural killer cells. Research done on residents of developing countries where diets are low in zinc has determined that effects of zinc deficiency include increased morbidity due to gastrointestinal and respiratory problems. So a zinc supplement can be good for that, but zinc also hinders the absorption of iron, so it's really important that you don't take a zinc supplement if you don't need to, because then you're going to throw off how your body can absorb iron, and that's going to cause another problem. So, you know, and as far as iron goes, iron deficiency has, you know, been linked quite a bit to weakened immune function in children and in adults. And, you know, the good news is that through diet and through various supplementation, you would be able to overcome that deficiency in zinc, and then you wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't have to worry about the weakened immune function because of that. And then another part of research that I did is on the effects of stress on the immune system in athletes. And so it's like, you know, the acute and chronic stress that exercise puts on athletes, which, you know, we've talked about a lot in, you know, just in this class in general. And so, you know, really the most important thing, and I don't think this is just for athletes, it's just important for all of us, is to make sure that our caloric intake is matching our caloric output, and that caloric intake is from a variety of wholesome foods. Like, you know, there's this, you know, that food guide pyramid, you know, to follow whole grains and making sure that you get that the macronutrient diet of, you know, 45 to 65% carbohydrate and around, you know, 20% fat and around 20% protein, or, you know, less than 30% fat, and the other balance of protein, that is just in general, that is what, you know, the same research says regarding the effects of the immune system and the stress of the immune system on athletes. They did go to break it down a little bit that if you're fluctuating, your diet's fluctuating between, like, you know, 15% a day of, you know, say you get like 50% of carbohydrate and 20% of protein and 20% of fat, that's still leaving you 10%. So depending on what your exercise is, the fuel that you would use, the macronutrient intake that you would use to come up with that other 10% is somewhat dependent on the exercise that you're going to do. So for instance, a woman who is an endurance athlete and who's on the thin side, one of the important sources for her would be to intake more fat, because her body is using more fat. And if she doesn't have enough fat, then there's going to be this stress on her immune system, and a lot of that is because there's going to be more depletion of her blood glucose level. And so when by having more fat, that's going to help to have that energy be used, so that your glycogen store in your muscles stays